Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. And it's a show about ins and outs. It's a show about good and bad, I suppose, positives and negatives. Which one will win on the scales? There's there's a major update in relation to Scott McTominay. We're going to talk about CUCURELLA. Fabrizio Romano is saying that we've basically deal done in relation to CUCURELLA has agreed to join Manchester United. We're not talking to any other left back now, and it's about just finalising the deal with Chelsea. Second Chelsea player we brought in this summer. And also, we will obviously have updates on Amrabat, Harry Maguire, a few other bits. Raphael Varane out for up to 6 weeks as well, which is very significant. I've got a very interesting opinion on that. But look, I mean, the Scott McTominay thing is really interesting. The Times are saying that whilst Bayern Munich maintain an interest in Scott McTominay, they will not pay 40 to 45 million pounds, which is what Manchester United want. I mean, we certainly do have prize prats doing our negotiations, don't we? I mean, when you need Alan Sugar, United recruit Alan Shit. It's incredible that we're looking for 40 to 45 million pounds for Scott McTominay. I do not know who these prats are. I just do not know who these. Well, I do, but I don't know who they think they are. Absolutely incredible. He has never performed in 4 or 5 years like a 40 to 45 million pound player. It's incredible. I'm willing to give $10 to get Maguire out of the club, says Darker. Well, we'll talk about Maguire in a bit, but first of all, I'm wearing it. It's gone a bit dark and it's gone a bit cold in the UK today. So I've got my lovely fleece top by Boohoo Man on, and they are sponsoring the show today. And there will be a bit of trivia as always, but don't forget in relation to Boohoo Man, it's always 40% off with the code Goldbridge at checkout. Get yourself some fantastic clothing at a very, very reasonable price, especially with that Goldbridge code, 40% off. Whether it's down the gym, five-a-side, chilling out in something like this, they've got you covered. Boohoo Man, absolutely fantastic. Check out the link in the description or scan the QR code next to me and get yourself some stuff with that code, 40% off. Goldbridge at Boohoo Man. But as we know with Boohoo Man, there's always a bit of trivia, so get your thinking caps on. I made my professional debut with Standard Liège in Belgium. I moved to the Premier League to play for Everton before joining Manchester United. While at Manchester United, I won the FA Cup, the League Cup, the UEFA Europa League and the Community Shield. I mean, what? I wouldn't, you know what? If I'd played at the highest level, I would never include Community Shields on my Wikipedia page. In fact, I'd make them delete it. I made a surprising move to Shandong Lungneng in China in February 2009. That's got to be worth a like, just for getting that pronounced correct. And I've represented Belgium in various international competitions, including the World Cup and the European Championship. I don't know who set this question tonight, but it sort of captures my irritation because, of course, it's Marouane Fellaini. Congratulations if you got that. Big thank you to Boohoo Man as always for supporting the show. Don't forget 40% off with that code Goldbridge. Links in the description or scan the QR code with your camera phone next to me. What you're waiting for, head over there. So look, let's get into the show. A lot of people did get Fellaini. Some people still go with Nani. One day you might get it right. Mark, hope Seb is feeling better. God bless him, says Mojo. Yeah, look, I haven't been on the show all day today, and obviously I just realised at the end of the show last night I had to stop it a little bit early. He is a lot better today. He's been on a couple of he's been with me this morning at Ben Foster's place. We just did the podcast. He's our first guest on the podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football. Check it out. Links in the live chat and in the video description. Goldbridge Saves Football, episode 4 now already. It's a brilliant episode. The section on who is the best captain in the Premier League. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but the way I explained it, I should be winning a bloody prize for it. Szoboszlai looks way better than Mount. Almost same transfer fee. We need to revamp the recruitment team, says T. He's also fit, isn't he, as well? But look, let's get into the show. So we're going to start off with CUCURELLA and McTominay. We will have a story on Maguire and Varane as well. But I suppose that they are the place to start. In the last hour, we've had 2 significant updates coming in. Times Sport are saying that Bayern have indicated they won't pay United's 40 to 45 million asking price for Scott McTominay, but they are interested in him. And Manchester United have reached an agreement in principle with CUCURELLA on personal terms. Green light arrived on the players' side. Man United won't negotiate for any other left back now, and that's from Fabrizio Romano. So an up and down thing. Look, you know what? It's Tuesday night. What have we done today? We are working on things, but what have we done today? So we've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We've got 3 days left now. Can you call Harry Maguire a prat, says Ryan? I can call him worse than that. I want Højbjerg. What, says Matteo. And Will, welcome to the Members Club for 6 months. And Sean Turner says, the club baffles me. United are known for attacking football. We've lost 4 strikers in the past 2 seasons. Bought in Højlund, lose a left back. Next day we're in talks for a new left back. It's a joke, says Sean. You know what? You're right. You're right, Sean. There is this, you know, we've got 2 left backs which cost us money and a first team left backs really in Malacia and Luke Shaw. One of them gets injured, and we're out getting a left back as quick as we can. Who's, you know, a very good left back in my opinion. The striking situation is hilarious considering goals win your games. But anyway, that's maybe for a little bit later in the show. Starting on a positive, I'm very happy that Man United have chosen to go for Cucurella. I think he is head and shoulders better than Alonso, Reguilon and Tagliafico. I think, you know, he was linked to us this morning. So I'm very, very happy with Cucurella. I think he's the best of that bunch. And I'll stand by what I've said to you before. So much of an outpouring of, you know, snobbery and criticism towards Cucurella. And I don't really understand it because for me, we've just bought Mason Mount for £55 million. He was crap at Chelsea last year, and so was Cucurella. But the season before, Mason Mount was very good at Chelsea, and Cucurella was one of the best left-backs in Europe. And that's why Chelsea paid 50 million quid for him. He was brilliant at Brighton. He's had a bad season. So if Mason Mount for 55 million is worth staying with, and he's going to be a good player, and Ten Hag's obsessed with him, then Cucurella for a few million on loan for a season, I think there's a really good player there. I know he's been crap at Chelsea, but I think there is a really good player there. So for me, if we can get this deal over the line, you know, it's going to take a bit of work. He's not instantly going to work, but I expect him, certainly in the way that he played at Brighton, I don't see what the negative is. The way Brighton play football is progressive, high press, and Cucurella was very, very important in that team, and he got forward a lot as well. He was brilliant. So for me, it's an indicator of what Ten Hag wants his fullbacks to do. And I'll tell you what, I don't think our fullbacks are doing what Ten Hag wants to do. He wants those fullbacks to tuck in and be part of the midfield, and Cucurella could be very important in that. And also, hopefully Luke Shaw comes back, and then you've got Cucurella and Luke Shaw, both of which can play left centre-back, and I'd prefer it to be Shaw. Is there any truth in the McTominay swap deal, says Aidan? And also, still think Amrabat deal is doable or not, says Wang. We will talk about that. So we will talk about that. So I'm quite happy with this Cucurella deal if we can get it over the line. I don't know what your thoughts are, but it's looking like it's going to happen very soon because Fabrizio says we're not talking about any other left backs now. This is the one we want. So it's about getting a deal done with Chelsea. I heard that we keeping Maguire because Varane's injured. What bullshit. United just trying to spin it because they can't sell Maguire and buy a replacement. I'm going to talk about that, Jared, but it's third on the process. We're not going to do a poll, Frank, because you should have watched the show last night. We've already done a poll on Cucurella. We don't do a poll every 24 hours. It was about 50-50 on whether people wanted Cucurella or not. Varane's out for up to 6 weeks. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. And hi, Mark. Do you think we could have a couple of squad additions in for Arsenal game? Yes, Daily Hibbert, I do. The second story that's coming out tonight is this Scott McTominay story. If I speak, I can't speak, but I will speak. I'm absolutely baffled by this. So not only are we a football club that rejected a £30 million deal for Scott McTominay from West Ham, we're now asking for £45 million from Bayern Munich. It's absolutely incredible how badly this football club is run. And I have zero doubt in that statement. There is just no doubt in that statement anymore. We are a terribly run football club. The Mason Greenwood situation, why is Richard Arnold still here? That was a disgrace the way he dealt with that, and it's just been swept under the carpet by a club that is basically a dictatorship. Disgraceful way to deal with it. Still director of football, walking around with a smile on his face, running this football club. In no other walk of life would that be acceptable, but at this football club, it's welcomed and cheered. The recruitment has been a disgrace. And what prat in that football club is pricing Scott McTominay at £45 million? I really just want to know, I've been asking you lot for weeks, what part of Scott McTominay is worth any more than 25 million quid? And we want 45. We've got to buy, we need money. We need money so we can buy Amrabat, so we can get the loan deal done for Cucurella. So maybe we can get a loan deal with Gravenberch. Bayern are probably offering 30 to 35 million pounds for Scott McTominay, and we're going, no, we want 45. You're having a bloody laugh. And people say it's a negotiation tactic. It didn't bloody work with West Ham, did it? West Ham walked away. So who are these idiots who are running these deals? And more importantly, who's telling them that's the price to achieve? We want 45 million pounds for Scott McTominay. He's from the youth setup. Every pound is profit. We didn't buy him for 30, so we've got to get 35. It's pure profit. But I can't look. He scored a goal against City. He scored a goal against Arsenal. Is that 20 million a goal? I don't get the value in Scott McTominay. I wouldn't have him anywhere near a United first team, and I've said that for years. So how can he be worth 40 to 45 million quid? We should have took the 30 from West Ham. We should take the 30 from Bayern Munich and spend that money on Amrabat and Cucurella and at least get a couple of players in the last 3 days. I cannot believe that we are looking for that amount of money for Scott McTominay. It's incredible. And, you know, it's just another indicator, unfortunately, of the lack of faith many of us have in the people in power at Manchester United, because they are absolutely incompetent. Hi, Mark. I love the content. Keep up the good work. Anyway, is there any truth on Onana returning back to international duty, says Jay? I've not heard anything about Onana going back to play for his national team. If he did, it's a bloody mistake by United, because it's another player that we're going to lose for a month when it's the African nations, aren't we? Owen says, hi Mark, love the show. My wife thinks Maguire is underrated and needs time in the slow cooker to reach full potential, says Owen. Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, look, we'll see what happens with Scott McTominay. The hope is that Bayern Munich stay interested and that we get some sort of resolution on that quite quickly. But bloody hell, I mean, another way of looking at it as well is, I don't think he's hardly played for Ten Hag this season. Clearly surplus to requirements. There's only 3 days left in the window. We need to sell to buy, and we're playing hardball on a deal. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If I was offered 30 million for McTominay now, I'd take it, because all right, I might on deadline day I might get 35. But then on deadline day, I've got to go and do a load of deals. Like, I just take the 30 million quid now and get to work. Have you noticed how these accounts who were on the Murta Madness train stopped talking about it? PR can be anywhere in any shape or form, says Mario Franco. I know exactly who the Murta Madness accounts are on social media. I'm not in for like any of that. Maybe 5 years ago I would have done. I can't be arsed with anything like that, you know. Fair play to people who put the time and effort into building things, but I know exactly who they are. And they've been proven completely wrong. And that's why you shouldn't be a cheerleader for people. You should be a cheerleader for the opinions you've got. I mean, shouting about a positive transfer window that wasn't positive, you're going to look a prat. Onana is in the Cameroon squad, says Robert McCormack. I didn't know that. I did not know that. So, we'll cross that bridge when we see it. So yeah, it's interesting how this McTominay thing. I mean, look, I still do not think Bayern Munich are in for him. I still do not believe Bayern Munich are in for him. I think United are very big on PR. I think we're going to talk about Maguire in a minute. Mojo's just gifted 5 memberships. But I personally think that, United are probably trying to spin a positive that when McTominay stays, they can say, well, Bayern Munich wanted him. But the reality is we've all watched him for the last few years. I don't think anybody wants him to stay. Anyway, look, the next story I want to talk about. So we spoke about Cucurella. That's looking like it's very close. McTominay looks like we're rejecting very good offers again. Harry Maguire, Raphael Varane. So came out from Sky, I think today, that Raphael Varane could be out for another 4 or 5 weeks. And that because of that, Manchester United are not going to sell Harry Maguire. But Man United are incapable of selling Harry Maguire. Let's call it for what it is. Let's not pretend United have any say in this. The only deal United could say yes to at the moment is a loan deal, which would be stupid. United do not have an offer on the table to let Harry Maguire go anyway. So we're not selling Harry Maguire because Varane's injured. You weren't selling him anyway. Stop trying to spin as a positive that, Maguire's really important now because Varane's injured. He's not played 1 minute for Erik Ten Hag this season, and we've had 3 games. He will not be playing against Arsenal on Sunday because it will be Lindelof and Martinez, because that's his third choice centre-back. It's Lindelof. So Maguire will be on the bench. He might come on at some point. Maybe he needs another injury. He's like Phil Jones, actually. Phil Jones used to get injured and survive a transfer window. Harry Maguire is now surviving transfer windows because better players than him are injured, like Luke Shaw and Varane. So Maguire is suddenly, you know, he's also almost within touching distance of getting a couple of minutes. So Man United don't have any power in this situation. I tweeted it earlier, and I suppose this is where I stand, and I'd be interested what you think. Look, I love Varane, but he's made of glass. Like, I didn't even see anything happen against Forest, and he came off at half-time and he could be out for 6 weeks. He had a pretty decent season last year injury-wise. His first season was a bloody nightmare, and who knows what's going to happen here. So this was a massive reason, and you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say 3 words. Kim Min Jae. This was why Erik ten Hag wanted Kim Min Jae. To the outside eye, it might have looked a bit weird. Why go and buy such a good centre-back when you've got Varane and Martinez? But he wanted a top-class centre-back because he knows Varane's made of glass. So Kim Min Jae was the player that we spent all season scouting, put a lot of work in, and lost him to Bayern Munich. So we've now got Varane injured, as many people would predict, and Maguire's going to stay. But the hilarious thing about this is that Varane's injured, so they're going to keep Maguire. But the whole world knows Erik ten Hag wants to sell Maguire, doesn't trust Maguire because he's got him out of took the captaincy off him and he's not part of the leadership team anymore. And no other football club in the world will pay 35 million quid for this guy. So we are keeping a guy now who Ten Hag doesn't want, Ten Hag doesn't trust, and who nobody in world football will pay 35 million quid for. Well, yabba dabba do. Come on down. I mean, and this is Manchester United. This is who we are. How can that be progressive? How can this be something to look forward to when we're keeping a guy the manager does not want and nobody else in world football wants? Oh, great. I'm really happy he's staying now. So we're not keeping him because he's actually important to the manager. We're keeping him because we can't sell him. We can't be progressive. We can't get the Kim Min Jae or the Todibo or whoever else. We're going to use Harry Maguire because we can't bloody get rid of him because nobody wants him. Oh, great. And that's the story of Man United. And this is why, when I look at this summer transfer window, I do blame the Glazers because they could have sold this club in February. They've been pissing about for 9 months and they've completely and utterly screwed this football club over again because this summer transfer window would not have happened under new ownership. And you can call that new ownership Qatar. You can call that new ownership Sir Jim. You can call that new ownership whatever you bloody well like. But whoever the new owner is going to want to impress the fans and make strides in the first summer. And that would not be allowing people like Maguire to serve their time out to earn their money. Remember when Pep said he underestimated the Premier League? Unfortunately, Ten Hag made the same mistake. We all knew you can't compete in full competitions with 17 players. Now we're getting all these muscle injuries, says Shaheen. Well, I think this is a great point. You look at United players and the injuries they're picking up. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. We've got players from last season, like Luke Shaw and Varane and Malacia, who are breaking down. And then we've got new players like Mason Mount, who's breaking down. We've got a massive problem with our fitness department, and I don't think we've ever dealt with that. That's been going on for years. Is Ten Hag hanging on, hoping we are sold to Qatar? He can't surely work with Murta and Arnold anymore, says Shane. Bayern want McTominay because he's Scotland's best-kept striker secret and backup to Kane. This statement is just as delusional as his asking price, says Damo. And Mark, my mate Dave, has a sore arse. Okay, thank you very much, Alan. We won't ask why. But look, as I said, absolutely devastated that Varane is out for 6 weeks. It's almost like we can't catch a break at the moment. We bought Højlund. He's missed the first 3 games of the season. By Mount, he's out for 6 weeks, having played 2 games. Luke Shaw barely plays, injured for a long time. Varane plays really well for us. Game 3, injured for a long time. And, you know, we've got all these injuries going on, and then you've got the board and the recruitment team who are rejecting money for players that aren't good enough for us anyway, and messing around on, you know, cheap deals. You know what? The protests at the weekend didn't happen for a laugh. We are not in a good position, and I almost feel like some people have got their heads buried in the sand about what this season could be. We are not in a good position. The transfer deadline closes on Friday night. If we get our asses handed on a plate on Sunday, we are screwed. And everyone's going to wake up on Monday morning and go, we're fucked. We're absolutely screwed. We've got 6 points from 12. We've had a crap transfer window. Everybody else has improved. We've got loads of injuries. Everyone else has got not got loads of injuries. They've got loads of energy. We are, and the Glazers are still here. We're screwed. I think United's season already is a balancing act. Now, the one person I would always never write off because of what he did last year is Ten Hag. What he can do when people write United off. I mean, I never would have put us in the top 4 at the start of last season, and he did it, and he won a trophy. So, look, I'd never say that Ten Hag can't get us top 4 again. But it ain't looking good. The squad is threadbare, and we're already getting injuries. The transfer window has been a joke, and I do worry. And on top of that, over the next month, we're only one injury to Martinez or Lindelof away from Harry Maguire starting for United, and that's terrifying because Ten Hag doesn't want Harry Maguire. He doesn't want him. He's a player that has been forced upon him, and that would not happen to Pep Guardiola. It would not happen to Jurgen Klopp. Mark, Cucurella now makes sense. This way he can play Luke Shaw at centre-back instead of Maguire, says Martin. EJ, welcome to the Members Club. You can see all the progress from last season getting reversed before our eyes, says Emily. Emily, and you're absolutely right. Emily says it's on Murta and Arnold and the Glazers. And you're right. I think my biggest concern on a very serious level is, I'm not going to be sensationalist about this. I agree with Emily. All the progress we made last season, and I would say this. I hear ye. I say this: the progress we made last season. If you wanted progress and progress was a step, I think last season we made 2 steps. I do. I think we overstepped progress for year 1 from where we were when Ten Hag came in. 3rd place, 2 cup finals and a trophy. But you know what? It's that second season syndrome under the Glazers. We have a good season, we progress, and they don't, we've not even had we should have a great transfer window. We've not even had a good one. We've not even had an average one. We've had a bad one. And I think everything we achieved last season is in big danger of falling away. Now, there is still hope. I think Onana will grow into a good goalkeeper at United. I'm very excited about Rasmus. I think he's going to bring a lot of energy to that team, and we bloody need it. Because I think the lads from last season look tired and demotivated at the moment. And look, we all hope that Mason Mount and Cucurella, if he does come in, can add something as well. But there's a lot of good competition out there. I mean, I watched Liverpool against Newcastle on Sunday, and I was like, if we were 1-0 down to 10 men with an hour to go against Newcastle, we're losing that game 4 or 5-0. Liverpool somehow stay in the game and win it 2-1. We don't have that mentality. We are still, look, you know what? People will go, moan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we're still bottle jobs. We are still a team that's capable of getting absolutely battered. In fact, many of us think we're on, I personally think we're not far off getting a battering. Wolves, a better team would have done it. Spurs, they didn't batter us, but they won. Forest, we were 2-0 down after 5 minutes. You shouldn't be losing that game when we didn't. But I still think that team looks like it could get an absolute good hiding at some point. And I don't think that... I think there's a lot of teams that are going to compete with us that are in a good place. I mean, look, the next 2 games as well are going to really define our season. You've got Liverpool and you got Brighton. How do the Glazers seriously think they can go on running the club like this? It feels like a never-ending nightmare, says Chris. We have a better transfer windows in the Europa League, says Adam. I hate to say this, but it has got worse before the Glazers will sell, and I mean really bad, says America. Look, the most important thing I would say, and this season is on a knife edge, says Paul O'Brien. I'm dreading Arsenal game. How is that progression? Sad that we're in a state like this. The most important thing I would say is this. And it's going to be on you. We've got to try and stay with Erik Ten Hag because I think it could get really bad. Like, look, hypothetical here. Arsenal look a lot better than us and a lot more settled than us. I think there's a lot of people out there that think because Arsenal drew with Fulham, they're crap. But Arsenal have got 7 points. They've not been beaten, and they're at home. And Fulham aren't a bad team. Fulham could beat us at the moment, by the way. I don't know where this disrespect for Fulham's come from. Fulham could beat us at the moment. Fulham's midfield is probably better than ours at the moment, especially with Paulinho in it. So I don't see any hint that Arsenal are vulnerable. I don't see any hint at all. I think Arsenal at the... I mean, look, I struggle to say that United will lose under Erik ten Hag because I've got a lot of trust in him. But Arsenal are massive favourites on Sunday, and I don't like saying that, but they're better than us. And if Arsenal beat us comfortably on Sunday, 6 points from 12 is a crap start to the season when you look at the fixtures we've had. And then you've got Brighton straight after. So, look, and the worst of the worst is it's an international break. But no, we've got to stick with Ten Hag. We have to stick with Ten Hag, and it'll be very, very difficult because I know what the press would love to do to Ten Hag, and I think there's some very small minority at the moment in our fan base that want to turn on Ten Hag for their own reasons. When the bad results come, the manager will always be the target of the media and some fans, but I just think it's really important to remember what we've been talking about for the last few weeks and the last few minutes. You've got to... Ten Hag... Look, let me just say about Scott McTominay here. Ten Hag will not be rejecting 35 million or 30 million for Scott McTominay and saying we want 45. Ten Hag will have said, you can sell him. As a manager, he'll have said, yeah, sell him. He's not untouchable, sell him. It'll be United's Mertes and Arnold who are going, we want 40, 45. That's not Ten Hag saying that. That's ridiculous. Ten Hag will have basically said, you can sell Maguire. Sell him and I'll get Amrabat. But United are pushing the price up. Ten Hag wanted Maguire to go. He's told him to go. Maguire's defied that, and the club have sat down and let him defy that. That's not on Ten Hag. So it's really important to remember that this transfer window has been shit, but it's not on the manager, who last season did a really good job. So we've got to try and stick with the manager because he's been dealt a really bad hand by really bad people within the club. Hi Mark, hope you're well. Good to see you again. Cucurella could be a good addition. Any updates on the midfielder situation? I'm going to talk about it in a minute, Rizik. And Daily Hibbert's just gifted 5 memberships. What a legend. Also, can I just say that can we have a poll on whether we need a poll, says Wayne List. Would you love an interview with Richard Arnold? Mate, terrified. And not just me. There's other people out there as well. They won't do it. I mean, how can we ever be a progressive football club when the people who run the football club are terrified of talking to the fans of the football club? How does that even work? If I ran Man United Football Club and there was somebody sat in my position with the platform that we've got, I'd be getting in contact with them saying, look, how do we sort this out? How do we work together? Because you're clearly passionate. You've got a massive audience. You clearly want United to do well. How do we work together? They don't do that. They're arrogant. They think they're better than us. If Højlund does not hit the ground running, we are in trouble and we will drop a lot of points, says Tusha. Thank you very much, Tusha. Is Højlund starting on Sunday? And if we sign Cucurella, does he start on Sunday, says Kevin. I think Cucurella could go straight into the team on Sunday, yes, because he's match fit. I think he might even play for Chelsea tomorrow in the Carabao. But Højlund, I think... Look, Højlund would have started against Forest, but he's not the manager. So... yeah, Højlund would start against Arsenal. It would be up to Erik ten Hag. Højlund's been training for a while. He wants to play, but the manager and the fitness team will dictate that. Now, Højlund's not saying I'm not fit. That's not what's going on. Ten Hag would have took the 60 for McTominay and Maguire and got Amrabat and another player already. Worst decision of the window, says Luke. And it was weeks ago, Luke, as well. And it's unbelievable how the Glazers have fooled us once again. It's the same vicious cycle. Soon we will hear Ten Hag out and then a new manager, says Mehdi. Well, look, you know what? Just going back to that before I talk about the Amrabat situation, let's not forget any update with Amrabat, says Dylan. I'm just about to talk about that. But I really want to try and defend the manager from what could be about to come. If we get battered by Arsenal and Brighton players off the park and then we lose a couple of other games before October, he will have increasing pressure on him. But I think it's so important as a fan base that we stick with this manager because he's done so well in year one. And year two, everybody else has improved and he's just been inflicted with a terrible transfer window. Absolutely rubbish. But the positive of this transfer window, if there is anything, is that, Ten Hag's not been given what he wanted. He did want Harry Kane. He did want Kim Min-jae. He's wanted players to be sold like Maguire and McTominay, and the club haven't delivered it. And he might have to use those players this season instead of getting rid of them. But if you take the crumbs of positivity from this transfer window, and I wouldn't rank this transfer window any higher than a 2 or a 3 anyway, but if you take the positivities of Højlund, Mount and Onana, we've only got those 3 players because of Erik ten Hag. Like, Højlund wanted to come to United because he's a United fan, but because of the way ten Hag sold him the club. Onana wanted to come to Manchester United because of the way Ten Hag sold him the club and the fact that he's worked with him before. And Mason Mount wanted to come to Man United because Ten Hag sold him the vision and said that I want you to be a massive part of this team, and gave him the number 7 shirt. So, look, whether you agree with those transfers or not, it wasn't fantastic negotiating that got those players. It was the pull of Ten Hag. Look, we didn't get Mount on the cheap. We probably played a little bit too much. We didn't get Onana on the cheap. We probably played market value. We didn't get Rasmus on the cheap. We probably paid a little bit too much. The only positives of this transfer window are what Ten Hag has pulled in with his own pull. Arnold may as well have had the summer off, and all the recruiters. They've delivered next to nothing this summer. Absolutely nothing, really. The 3 signings have been because of Ten Hag. The 55 million on Mount was what we should have used to pay the release clause for Kim Min-jae. That was a major error, says Stev. If your CEO or director of football is terrified of talking to fans, then it's obvious they're doing a bad job, says Emily. This season is already falling apart and it's not really started yet. Signing and sales and injuries, etc., says Ray. I think it's been a really concerning start to the season. The injuries are obviously, you've always got to say, bad luck, but they're damaging. The lack of signings is damaging, and the performances on the pitch haven't been great. There's always a positive, and Ten Hag is that positive and can be that positive. We could go to Arsenal on Sunday and win, and it would give us such a boost. 9 points from 12 and beating Arsenal at the Emirates would give us a boost. But lose that game and lose that game badly, bad transfer window, all these injuries, 6 from 12, and Arsenal tear us a new one. You know, I don't want to overhype a game, but it's a symbolic game. It really is for United. We've got to try and get something out of that game. I'm worried about Ten Hag, to be honest. He's just inches away from a media witch hunt. They won't accept anyone who's not matey with them. Ange being the latest media darling, says Nick P. Mark, I'm watching Højbjerg in the Carabao and he looks average. Can you explain what he's good at, says United? Well, I don't believe the Højbjerg story. You know, I would take Højbjerg, but I don't believe the Højbjerg story. We are all with Ten Hag, but the media machine are going to go hard on him. It will be a miracle if we don't lose him because of the Glazers, says Ahmed. And Murta and Arnold are the only people seeing their manager overachieve and not back him in the market. Like, we only want top 4 instead of battling City, says Kian. Well, look, I don't think we're in for Højbjerg. I don't think we could get Højbjerg because I don't think Spurs would do us a favour, and I think they'd want around 40 million quid, so that's over. Amrabat, I firmly believe and pretty much know that this is the guy that Ten Hag wants. I think that what might be happening with, I think we all know what's happening with Amrabat. He's waiting to come to United. Ten Hag has told him to wait, I believe, and we are trying to raise some money before Friday to sign him. And I think that's the case. There is always a chance that he'll get fed up and go to another club. There is always a chance that United will not raise that money. But as of now, with 3 days to go, I think he's the logical number 1 choice for Ten Hag. And I think he has been for a long time. Højlund will be more expensive. Not Højlund, Højbjerg will be more expensive than Amrabat, and harder because it's Spurs and Daniel Levy. Gravenberch is interesting. I mean, look, the most logical thing to do with Gravenberch is say to Bayern Munich, we want £40 million for Scott McTominay because we're prats, but we'll take 30 million now if you give us Gravenberch on loan for a year with an option to buy. I mean, it's the most simple deal in the bloody world. And then you get Gravenberch as part of the deal. You get 30 for McTominay. You use that 30 to get Amrabat, and you get Cucurella. And then you end up with Cucurella, Amrabat and Gravenberch by Friday. But it's too logical, isn't it? It's too straightforward to do that. And I think Gravenberch is up for grabs. And he'll probably end up going to Liverpool because Bayern Munich are looking at Conor Gallagher and Scott McTominay. And if they get both, then Gravenberch will leave. So There's a logical deal for United to do there with McTominay involving a transfer fee and a loan for Gravenberch. Get Amrabat, get Cucurella, and we've salvaged something. I mean, ideally, I'd still kick Maguire out the door and get Todibo in, which I still think we could do. But apparently, I was told this morning that can't happen because United have admitted they can't do a deal like that in 3 days. They know how incompetent they are. We can't do that in 3 days. We've run out of time. You've run out of time. You've run out of time. Ten Hag told you to sell Maguire in June, and you've run out of time. It's incredible. As well as the Scott and Harry issue, we are also only 3 days away from Bay and Van der Beek still being here as well. Glennie, great point. Also, yeah, I mean, that's amazing, Glennie boy, isn't it? It's true as well. Eric Bay is still at the club, and Donny van der Beek is still at the club as well. So yeah, it is incredible. It is incredible. Look, there is no positive for me around United at the moment. I'm honestly concerned. This doesn't keep me awake at night, but I am concerned. I think that we're not playing well on the pitch. We don't look like we've got any rhythm. We look like we're transitioning, and we look like a team that's learning the basics again. Maybe it's to do with, a change of style. Maybe it's to do with the keeper, whatever. We've got a ridiculous amount of injuries. We've had a very, very bad transfer window, and we've got 2 very difficult games coming up. As I said, we're balanced. We're balanced. We've got 3 days to bring some positivity in, and we've got a massive game on Sunday. And at the moment, I think that it's inexcusable that we're in this position. And I think it's very, very clear as well that we are suffering from the sale. And a lot of people are agreeing with me. Simon says facts, Mark. It's a long list, isn't it, Simon? Let him speak, Simon. It's a long list, though. It's a long list of concerns. And it's inexcusable that we're in this position as a football club that did so well last season. And it's absolutely 100%. And I heard Simon Jordan on the radio today saying that United fans use the Glazers as too many excuses. And, well, I disagree. I disagree. We are in a position because the Glazers didn't sell the club when they should have done. When they said they were going to sell it. They said they were going to have it sold by Q1 this year. Q1 this year was till the end of March. We are now suffering because of that sale. And you can pretend or manipulate or lie or, take the piss out of United fans all you like. But this situation we're in and that long list of problems all goes back to the fact that the Glazers, for every month they keep hold of us, they hold us back. And this summer transfer, well, look, we maybe still would have had the injuries. I can't argue about that. But I don't think we would have had the bad performances because we would have had an impetus, an injection of positivity and investment that would have been running through this summer. And we haven't had that. We're basically, in a very clear analogy, every other team, like if you think about Formula One or Mario Kart, when that green light goes and everyone shoots off with a smile on their face, United have stalled it and they've got the handbrake on. And that is basically a factor of the Glazers. We don't have a smile on our face, we don't have motivation, and we don't have a clear path. We are being held back, and that is why we are where we are. A lot of the issues that we're facing are because of this scenario that is just hanging over the club. And look, people can say that's bullshit, but I know for a fact, because I speak to people who work at the club, they're absolutely fed up. They're fed up with the people who run it. They're fed up with the decisions that are being made, and they're fed up of the limbo that the club is in. The club is in limbo. Even Eric Ten Hag is in limbo. Like, decisions cannot be made. Coke, welcome to the Members Club. We are renowned for signing stopgap players going after sloppy seconds which are sitting on the curb after being left by their club, says Jordan. I've said this and I'll say it again. I think the most symbolic thing of this summer transfer window is looking what our rivals have done. Forget Man City. They're into the sunset. I'm not talking about Man City. Although, actually, let's just say this. City bought the best player from Chelsea, Kovacic. We got Mount, Arsenal got Havertz. They've bought a centre-back for not far off 100 million quid. And they've already got very good centre-backs. And now they're trying to buy a midfielder from Wolves, who was arguably their best player against us a couple of weeks ago. We are rejecting bids for Scott McTominay Man City are out spending 50, 60 million pounds on another midfielder. They're not even in the same universe. They're just miles away. So forget Man City. They're on a different trajectory of optimism and specialism and competence. I look at this summer transfer window and I go, right, Arsenal should be a rival. Just spent £100 million on Declan Rice. We're only focusing on the midfield here. Liverpool, Alexi McAllister and Szoboszlai into their midfield this summer, rival of ours. Chelsea, Casido, Lavia into their midfield. Significant, high-profile signings. Manchester United, nobody. And Mason Mount's not a midfielder. He's not a midfielder in the sense that McAllister is, or Casido is, or Declan Rice is. So all our rivals have strengthened their midfield with significant statement signings. We've done nothing. We've done absolutely nothing. If Casemiro's the next injured player, pray tell me what we're going to do with our midfield. What is our midfield if Casemiro breaks down with an injury tonight? That's how crap this football club is being run. We literally do not have a contingency plan to our one defensive midfielder. And yet every other club has spent significantly on that area. Rasmus Højlund breaks down in training tomorrow. Who we got? Marcus Rashford breaks down in training tomorrow. You know, there are options, of course, but are they good options? Do we look like we've got a squad that's capable? I think I'm really worried at the moment. You know, Luke Shaw and Varane are very, very significant players. They're both in the leadership team within the dressing room, and they're both injured very early on in the season. I'm looking around and going, who's next? You know, Mojo's just gifted another 20 memberships. He's a legend, of course. Look at the way Big Ron was handled by Chelsea. Booted him in under 23, where Harry sat on the bench, says Josh. Look, Harry Maguire's not the only one, but there's a few players at that club that have managed to stay at the club, and you know, the manager doesn't want them to be there. It's as simple as that. DK says Mount was Chelsea Player of the Year twice. Why are people acting like he was Havertz? Look, Mason Mount, I still believe, can be a really good signing for United. In fact, I don't even say still believe. I believe he can be a good signing. He's only been here 5 minutes, but he's injured. He's injured, isn't he? It's just not a good start to your career. But as I said before, you know, if we can be positive about Mount, and I think we have to be, then we should be positive about Cucurella. Because I think, you know, I cannot remind people, because you've got to remind yourselves, but I cannot overemphasise just how good he was at Brighton. You know, and when Man City were looking at him, I was like, oh, bloody hell, it's Pep again. So, there we go. Can I just remind everybody as well that the podcast came out today, Goldbridge Saves Football. We've got a special guest on, which is Ben Foster, with me and Will today. It was a fantastic show. Very hard-hitting topics. We were talking, some of the things that we were talking about. The accusations of referees being biased to United. You can imagine what I had to say about that. We were also speaking about the best captain in the Premier League, and I think you'll want to listen to what I had to say about that. Loads of stuff about the current state of Manchester United. Please do give it a listen. Links in the live chat, and it's in the video description. Free to download, obviously, on Spotify and iTunes. Give it a listen. It's the best one we've done yet, and my favourite bit is the best captain in the Premier League. I'm absolutely convinced I'm right. Give it a listen and let me know what your thoughts are. Anyway, also don't forget Boohoo Man, 40% off with the code Goldbridge. Links in the video description for that. Thanks everybody for tuning in this evening. I'm sure we're going to get some reaction videos on transfers. I just hope that it is the ones that we want, because we're running out of time and there's a very big list of concerns, isn't there? Thanks everyone for watching. Loads of people saying they like the podcast. Absolutely fantastic. If you haven't listened to it, go and give it a listen to it now. You'll absolutely love it. Thanks everyone. Speak to you in a bit.